Hey, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, all that jazz. It's Prepping Outside the Box. I'm Josh. I wanted to do a two-a-day today, so I posted one earlier, and I'm going to do one again right now. And this is a fun topic to me because it's personal, right? If you don't have kids, it's not going to be as personal. But if you do, like I do, you got a daughter and son, they got to learn. That's why it's called Train 'em Young, right? All right. My daughter's 11 now, so this is going to be backdating a little bit and how, what, why I did what I did, right? I've got a background in firearms, since I was a kid. Something I've been doing, I guess you could say, professionally for a while now, and I kind of passed on, which is my main skill set, to my kids. Now, saying this, when I say train 'em young, it's not just firearms. Firearms, skills, just about everything. Well, we'll start with firearms. So first things first, no weapons involved, right? None at all. Don't need them. Got to teach your kids the firearm safety rules, right? And just out of curiosity, if you know all 5 of them, post them in the comment section. I will be intrigued. But there's 5, and I teach them to my kids, and now I can ask my daughter at any moment, what's your safety rules, and she'll start spitting them out because it's something that's ingrained in her, right? My son, not so much. He's 5. He still doesn't care. Not enough, anyways. My daughter was a lot more mature at 4 years old than he is at almost 6. But yeah, it's just boys and girls. So after you go over something simple like firearm safety, right? And in the rules is everything you're teaching them about safety. It literally covers your bases. Then you're going to, it's a training with no ammo, right? And the way I did this, I did it with both my kids when they were 4. And this is super important because this whole idea kills the curiosity of firearms and makes it so uncool to them that they stop caring, right? Toy guns are toy guns. Nerf guns are different. When you take apart all your firearms to clean them, and I took apart all of mine and laid them out in the living room, no ammo present, no magazines present. I laid out everything in there, and I had my cleaning gear out, and I brought the kids in, and we went over, and I would show them a part of my Glock or the 870 or my rifle or whichever one, and I'd have them hold the part, look at it, feel how heavy it is or whatever, and they would. It's almost done to a 4-year-old. So I take apart all these and I clean them and I make them sit there with me cleaning these, which is even more boring for them, which makes it perfect because you're taking that curiosity of something that they think is bad. The firearms, I want to touch daddy's gun, all that kind of stuff. And you strip it away because now they look at the thing with a whole new light. Now I did also do something else. I had a rule. My daughter could not touch, like for instance, my EDC, my pistol that sits on my nightstand. She's not allowed to touch it. She knows she's not allowed to touch it because it's daddy's gun. And at the time, she had her own little toy pistol. And I was not allowed to touch that gun because, she was safe with it and it was hers. So I gave her ownership or something of her own. I thought it was a pretty cool little neat thing, and it worked for her. Maybe not work for every kid, but giving her her own toy gun that I couldn't touch, and then having my everyday carry that she couldn't touch because can be dangerous. It helped out a little bit. Now, talking about the age, you kind of touched on it. Boys and girls are different. Girls mature faster than boys. And if you don't know it, well, now you know. So you've got to really keep in consideration. I did teach both of them at 4 years old without the ammo, like I just discussed. And it seems like a good starting age because they're old enough to get in trouble, and a lot of trouble. And they're just old enough to, I guess, take it serious enough to start grasping it. And when they're 1 through 5, it's such an impressionable time for them that grabbing them in that time frame is a moneymaker. So, yeah, I started at 4 for that. The shooting's different, and I'll get into that. But we destroy that curiosity. Now, before you do live fire, you are going to have to gauge their maturity. And this is where you're going to have to be critical of your own children, right? My daughter, and I have it on video, it's really awesome. I took her out to the range, and I have the whole thing on film of me going over again, teaching her how to shoot. Every aspect of her shooting, literally in that film. And we went live fire at the age of 6. And she's a really good shot. She's a better shot than some guys I know, which is so sad. And with iron sights too, because when I train them with iron sights. It's a perishable skill. Well, shooting in general is a perishable skill. Now my son, he's not going to shoot when he's 6. He's about to turn 6 right now. I might have to wait till he's closer to 10. At least maybe 8 or 9. He's still grasping on the maturity. He doesn't have enough where I would feel comfortable having him out there and know that he would listen as intensely as my daughter did. She took, and you could see it in the video, she grasped everything I was telling her, and she was paying attention, and she was focused, and she was careful. I don't even know if my son would try to play around. You know what I mean? So you got to grasp that maturity with them, and you got to be critical about it. If they're too young mentally, they're too young mentally. It's just what it is. Wait a year, and engage them again. So you've done that, and I say again, shooting is perishable. So if you've started training and you stop, it will go away. I mean, it's a largely perishable skill. Now they do say, and obviously the more you've done it, it will take longer for that skill to deteriorate in you, but you will still start losing some of it. And they do say, and by they do say, I mean all the instructors I've ever had in my life, you don't become a master at anything until you do it 10,000 times, right? And that's with every aspect of shooting. Whether it's squeezing the trigger, looking down the sights, bringing up the sights, taking it out of the holster, acquiring targets, all that. 10,000 times before you become an expert, before you become master. And that's a lot of training. And I am almost certain that people do not spend that kind of time on it. And I would highly encourage you to start. We don't have a lot of ammo now. I know there's a huge shortage, but nothing's going to keep you from having a cleared pistol or rifle, no ammo, empty magazines, and practice drawing, right? Practice dry fire, things like that. But the safety is paramount. You've got to make sure that that's in the forefront of your mind. Anyways, shooting's perishable. Training them young is not just about firearms, like I said, skills. And I know firearms is a skill, but what I mean by skills is other aspects. I want to call them life skills. They're things that they should be learning anyways, because it's it's important for survival anyways. It's things that kids should grow up knowing how to do in case they ever have to. And what I mean by that is things like fishing, hunting, foraging. There's a whole bunch of other skills out there if you really want to get into it. I mean, think nowadays. We're not really in an SHTF situation, so I might argue that we're getting there or there, but you know what I mean. We're still going to work. If you have a job, hopefully you do. Still doing things. But teach your kid to change a tire. Teach your kid to change the oil in a vehicle. Teach all those small skills so they're not relying on somebody else. And that's what I mean by training them also, is making them self-reliant for even the smallest thing as changing a tire. You know what I mean? But as far as like fishing and hunting, foraging, things like that, things that are taking you out of nature and giving you a skill to feed yourself and others and all that kind of stuff, even if you think they might be too young to do it or whatever, dragging them along just so they can witness it, just so they can be a part of it, taking them hunting. They might not be slinging the bow back, but maybe they can watch. Maybe they can learn. Maybe you guys laugh and have a good time and you never see a buck or a doe. But the point is you're getting them out there, and every time you do, whether it's productive or not, it's always going to be a little bit where they're going to learn a little bit more every time. So, train them young. Firearms, super important. and that's my heaviest hitting one. I had to wait a little bit longer on the bow hunting with the kiddos, so we'll see about that. But firearms, perishable, super important, and then make sure all those other skills, those life skills, are taught, and you teach them. Anytime you have to do anything. I just cleaned out the carburetor in my mower, right? Bring them along, right? Anytime you do anything, bring them along. Let them watch. Even if it's boring, as long as they pick up something, seems like a productive day to me, at least a little bit, right? So, again, train your kids young, everything's perishable, and this is Prepping Outside the Box. I'm Josh, and I'll see you tomorrow.